People are bowled over when a bucking bull goes berserk.
Normally you go to a rodeo to see the action inside.
A black and white traffic stopper.
Holy zebra.
Gives locals the runaround.
I don't want to get run over, and I don't want to lose the shot.
And an antlered antagonist terrorizes a community.
I was just so shocked. It's just like a black monster. And I knew right away, that's a freaking moose.
We brought wild animals into our world, in zoos, on farms, and as pets. We think we have them under control. But what happens when these creatures break loose and become animal fugitives? It's a Sunday night in Houston, Texas. Almost 100,000 people have descended on the ground surrounding the Reliant Arena to see one of the most spectacular shows in the country. The Houston Livestock Show, featuring one of the largest rodeos in the world. Local journalist and rodeo fan Scott Barrett and his family are among the crowd.
The Houston Livestock Show Rodeo is the biggest cowboy event in the Southwest. And it was a festive atmosphere. I mean, it's the rodeo.
And the fact that the wildly popular Jonas Brothers are playing a concert across the street means that the crowd is even larger than normal.
There were a lot of kids and their parents.
With the rodeo already underway and the concert only minutes away, excitement reigns outside the arena. But none of the teeny boppers or rodeo fans could have anticipated what happens next.
Then all of a sudden I heard screams. They came into my mind that there had been a car accident. I whipped out my camera and started rolling.
As Scott moves towards the action, the commotion grows into a full-fledged panic. The veteran journalist is stunned.
I really had no idea of what it was until I actually saw it. A bull rampaging through the parking lot.
Wanted, runaway rodeo bull. Rodeo bulls weigh over 800 kilograms and are renowned for their strength and speed and their ability to buck even the toughest cowboys. They're bred to be mean and angry. The amped-up bulls are kept in pens beneath the stands. But when a loud chuck wagon rattles past, it spooks the bull, sending it crashing out of its pen and out of the arena.
This was dangerous, and that's what you hear on the tape. People were rightly concerned and worried, and there were a lot of kids around.
With unbridled force behind it, the bucking bull sets its sights on an unsuspecting member of the staff.
He ran out of the gate, along the fence, and then knocked that young lady down.
The young ranch hand is manning the security gate.
And just floored her. And quite frankly, I was concerned we were looking at a fatality. It's like getting hit by a train.
The woman escapes with cuts and bruises.
Normally you go to a rodeo to see the action inside. We were seeing it outside.
With its first victim down, the bull immediately turns its attention to a more familiar foe. A wrangler using a barrel like a rodeo clown to distract the savage beast.
A rodeo clown, they're the saviors of bull riders. Rodeo clown distracts the bull, tries to get him away from the rider so they don't get trampled.
And with a few deft moves, the wannabe rodeo clown demonstrates that he's no joke.
That hand did the right thing. He kept that barrel between him and the bull, trying to keep that bull under control so it didn't careen off and hit any of the bystanders or get out of the main street where it would have been really dangerous.
It looks like the situation is finally under control. But when the police step in to apprehend the suspect, they make a fateful mistake. What happens when you taser a revved-up rodeo bull? Utter chaos.
Tasers are for humans, not for bulls. That taser only angered the bull. Almost barreled the officer over and took off into the parking lot.
On the other side of the parking lot lies the livestock show's fairground.
As I was watching that bull rampaging, I was just hoping for a cowboy with a rope on a horse. And lo and behold, there comes the cowboy. He'll take care of this.
Watching the dramatic scene unfold is Bronk Bainline, a professional cowboy and steer wrangler. Right away, Cowboy Bronk knows the situation is out of control.
It could have gone 10,000 different ways, and none of them would have ended up good.
And Bronk fears the worst.
I had seen how many kids there were, and all I could think of was if he gets into a middle of a family or something, he's gonna hurt somebody. I've heard stories of bulls running people over and killing people.
With women and children in danger, Bronk knows that something must be done.
I had to do something to stop him, something to catch him, whatever it took. It can take a minute or two to put a bridle on a horse. I think it might have taken me 3 seconds.
Bronk is an experienced cowboy, but he's a long way from the Texas plains.
Anything could have happened. I mean, horses have steel shoes, and it's almost like tap dancing on asphalt. I mean, it's pretty dangerous. If we'd have made one wrong move, we could have slipped and fallen.
But Bronk pushes on, hops on a horse, and races after the belligerent bull.
He went right through these hedges right here. When I come through over the hedges, he had already been stopped in the corner and was just standing underneath the tree.
With the fugitive bull momentarily still, Bronk seizes his chance and breaks out his lasso. But corralling this unruly escapee isn't going to be easy.
The only thing I could think of when I was getting ready to rope him was don't miss. Because here I am trying to be the hero, and it wouldn't look very good if I missed.
With the fate of the unsuspecting crowd riding on his shoulders, Cowboy Bronk attempts to rope the bull by the horns.
The angle that he was at and the angle that I was at, it was pretty tough to get it to stay on his neck.
Bronk knows a miss could send this riled runaway stampeding into the rodeo crowd. He lets his lasso fly and scores a direct hit.
They got that bull.
And in one fell swoop, leads the bull back towards its pen.
I think the bull was relieved because when I roped him, he pretty much just followed me like, okay, show me where I'm going. We pretty much just made our way right back through the parking lot, back towards the arena.
For Scott and the other spectators in the parking lot, it's like watching something out of a movie.
That's how you control a bull. You control a bull with a rope and a horse, not with a taser. When the cowboys showed up, I knew things were safe. Those cowboys know how to handle these animals. They do it in the arena. They did it in that parking lot. And it was over. It was over at that point.
With the bull back where it belongs, the crowd can only turn their attention to their hero, Cowboy Bronk.
If he had not shown up, if he had not mounted a ride that was not his horse and grabbed a rope that was not his rope, there could have been some very serious fatalities.
I grew up being a cowboy, and that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be for the rest of my life as a cowboy. And part of being a cowboy is, you know, helping out when help's needed, and this is one situation when help was needed, and that's all I did was help out.
And what happened to the bull?
He slipped out the back door the other night and went to the parking lot out with the public.
3 days later, it was back doing what it does best. This time, on the right side of the arena fence. When an 800-kilogram animal is on the loose, it takes a hero to save the day. In the frozen wilds of Minnesota, one want-away wolf is proving much more elusive. February 14th, 2009. Peggy Callahan, Executive Director of the Wildlife Science Center in Forest Lake, is monitoring the wildlife preserve. The center is home to wild predators like bobcats and cougars. But when Peggy reaches the cages of the center's 3 endangered Mexican gray wolves, she gets the shock of her life.
That's when we saw the gate. The latch was heavily pried, and this is a piece of galvanized heavy steel that no wolf or any animal is going to bend.
The wolves have been set free. The staff takes an inventory and within minutes locates 2 of the 3 wolves. But Peggy's worst fears are confirmed. One is missing.
7 of these guys alive in 1979 translates to 300 now, but they're still, that's such a small number. So each and every Mexican gray wolf is critical.
To ensure the safety of the species, these wolves have been carefully bred.
This wolf lived her entire life in captivity, so she is not a skilled hunter.
Without the ability to fend for herself, this endangered wolf cannot survive on the outside.
There are a lot of people that feel negatively about, animals in captivity, but there are very few people that would take the incredible step of letting something go that absolutely cannot survive out there.
The wolf's chances of survival are slim, so the team jumps into action. For the next 3 days, they search frantically, but the prize wolf has vanished.
It meant a lot of miles, a lot of driving, and a lot of frustration.
Tired and deflated, the team fears the worst. But on day 4, they get a break.
That 2-year-old that
30 kilometers away from the Wildlife Center, Officer Brad Krebsbach of the New Brighton Police normally patrols the graveyard shift.
And it's early in the morning, 4:45, 5 o'clock. The radio's quiet, there's nobody out on the roads. It's pretty easy to get tired.
But what he sees next isn't a dream.
I saw a wolf running down the middle of the road, which definitely is not ordinary in this neighborhood.
Officer Krebsbach follows the wolf along deserted streets and calls in for backup. When the dispatcher hears the description of the wolf, he immediately contacts the Wildlife Center.
I was completely skeptical. I didn't believe for a minute it was her.
Reluctantly, Peggy sends coworker Matt Rowe on the 30-minute drive to investigate.
I didn't honestly think it was going to be her, but as soon as I saw her, I knew it, so I got on the phone with Peg.
Peggy rushes straight to the scene.
When I arrived, there were police cars everywhere, and roads blocked off, and spectators and neighbors and joggers, and Matt with this look of hope and anxiety and stress, and she's here, it's her.
The wolf tries to shake the pursuers by getting off the road and into a nearby neighborhood, with Peggy and Officer Krebsbach in pursuit. Wolves are known to roam up to 20 kilometers a day in search of food. It's an uneven matchup.
She has 4 legs, we have 2. So we were navigating deep snowdrifts through yards that have not been plowed, no pathways or anything. So this ended up an off-road foot chase, which she definitely had the advantage over us.
It was a good 3 hours that we were trudging through this kind of snow.
But finally, after 3 hours in pursuit, the wily wolf is cornered.
Matt and the police chased her pretty hard for a few hours and ended up pinning her under this home. There's an eave here next to the deck that she finally decided to take a respite.
The team moves into position. This could be the chance. But like lightning, the re-energized wolf bolts.
And the chase was on again.
With the police hot on her heels, the wolf makes a break across a snow-covered lake.
She was more capable than a 6-wheel vehicle. She just seemed to outguess us at every step.
But just when the chase seems hopeless, the fugitive wolf hits a dead end.
We caught a break that we can't even believe.
She ended up along the freeway fence for a breather, and that was what gave us the chance, the time, and the geography to capture her.
The team positioned themselves on either side, blocking the wolf in.
And our goal was to push her from the east toward Wildlife Science Center staff with capture experience right up here.
But they need to move fast. This fence means nothing to an agile wolf.
She can easily, as a wolf, jump twice that at least, without a lot of effort.
And that fence is shielding the wolf from 6 lanes of rush hour traffic.
There is no way she could have navigated that traffic and survived. So we knew this was our last possible ditch effort. This is the moment right here.
This was the moment that culminated in either her death or her life.
Matt Rowe approaches with a pole designed to hold the wolf. It looks like the game is up, but the wolf makes one final dash for freedom.
She made some left to right movements. I just stayed in front of her.
The team has it covered and strikes.
The most amazing moment was watching Matt do the two-step with that wolf and make physical contact with her.
After 4 days on the run, the precious wolf is finally in custody and under control.
When Matt and Mark got her, I screamed. Everyone felt like she just sighed. She was exhausted. It's like, okay, got me.
The whole community can now celebrate.
People were watching from everywhere. People were watching from the office building. They were watching from the roads. There were folks stopped on the freeway. I mean, it was an amazing, amazing experience. When that wolf was caught, the sensation of elation was audible, it was palpable.
The wolf is sedated and loaded onto a truck. It's time to be reunited with her family.
When she got back, we did reunite her with her sisters. Her sisters were not welcoming.
Wolf packs aren't like families. Once a wolf leaves the pack, they often are not welcomed back. But all hope is not lost for this endangered wolf.
She has the last laugh. She lives in an enclosure with a male and is the queen. This is one of those happy endings. This wolf, we got her back. She made it. She's back in the captive breeding program, and she's out of the reaches of people that would make such foolish decisions.
The wolf has survived this scare, but the future is less certain.
The Mexican gray wolf is an animal with a difficult road ahead. We are completely dependent on captive breeding programs like this to maintain diversity in such a small population. So they absolutely need places like us to keep them going.
You don't have to be as cunning as a wolf to make it on the run. Across the globe in Asia, a slick swine is giving its pursuers the runaround. How do you catch a runaway pig hightailing it down a Taiwanese highway? With a giant net, of course. Police and a local farmer on the island of Taiwan play a serious game of chicken, chasing this racing bacon. Why did the pig cross the road? To fake out a farmer. Nice moves. But it's not long until pursuers get the drop on this pig. Ha ha ha, gotcha. Don't gloat too hard, fella. There's still some fight left in this sneaky swine. It gives them the slip. But the would-be captors rally. This time, they're not taking any chances. And this little piggy is going wee, wee, wee all the way home. Catching an animal fugitive isn't always as easy as netting a happy-go-lucky hog. In LA, cops have their hands full when a daring suspect lays low in a suburban shrub. June 6, 2010. Cameraman Glenn Herman is working the night shift.
My whole job is to drive around at night, find out what's going on, shoot video footage of it.
Listening to his police scanner, he hears a desperate call for backup. A strongly built suspect is on the loose, and it sounds like a good lead.
If they're calling for backup at 1:30 in the morning and they're asking for a helicopter and they're talking about something big running around, that's interesting. I gotta be there.
Arriving on the scene, he finds police have cordoned off the road. Helicopters are flying above, shining lights on one tree. But this is no manhunt. Police are tracking a fugitive of a different kind.
All of a sudden there's some movement, some rustling in the leaves. You can see a shadow moving in there.
With the police horns blaring, the fugitive shows.
And the officer yells out, "It's on the move, it's on the move." And all of a sudden I realized I'm 30 feet away from a giant black bear.
Wanted, Ursus americanus, aka bear. This grisly fugitive has stumbled into an LA business park and is showing no intention of clocking out.
So now it gets exciting. The bear jumps out of the tree and it takes off this direction. It starts running this way. And it was just so big. I mean, you could see its muscles going, you could see all the fat and everything like that. And I realized, my gosh, that is a big bear.
Black bears are the most common bear in North America, and their opportunistic eating habits can bring them to the city in search of a late-night snack. With adults growing to almost 300 kilograms, it's not something you want strolling around your neighborhood. Officers want to apprehend this immense intruder before he causes any damage. But this bashful Bruin doesn't want to stick around for questioning. And the chase is on.
It kind of looks like a Cops and Robbers movie. It looks like a pursuit. It's basically a bear pursuit.
With the 5-0 hot on his trail, the bear lays low.
So now the bear has rounded the corner and it's kind of lost the cops, and I'm sure it's trying to find a place to hide.
But concealing over 100 kilos of furry frame is not that easy.
Its heads might be hidden, but its body is sticking out. Or its body is hidden and its head's sticking out, and I guess bears aren't very good at playing hide and seek.
Despite his best efforts, this bashful behemoth isn't fooling anyone. Especially not game warden Don Nelson.
Basically, the only thing hidden on him were his paws. Everything else was sticking out in the lights. It was similar to maybe an ostrich hiding their head in the sand. You know, their heads disappeared, but their body's still sticking out.
But this hiding spot is proving no cover for the startled bear. If he stays where he is, he'll be caught red-pawed.
His only option really was to go northbound. He's got a clear path to get away from all the noise and commotion going on with the lights.
Don watches as the bear flees.
When the bear made his break, those bushes right over there is where he jumped the fence.
The criminal lays low along the bushy fence. A 2-meter hedge means nothing to this agile runaway. And at the top, he can't resist a cheeky pose for his would-be captors. Here's looking at you, kid. The fugitive bear has given cops the slip, but is now heading towards 8 lanes of traffic.
I was concerned this bear was going to get hit by a car on the freeway, and we we're going to have a bigger situation on our hand than we had already started with.
With the bear by the edge of the freeway, the choppers are sent in to put an end to this farce.
Once the bear made his way over the freeway, we did our initial search right in here. Didn't see anything, didn't hear anything, no movement.
The cops have to be sure he's gone, so they adopt a technique used for flushing out the most wily of fugitives. They call down the eye in the sky.
It comes down so low. One of the rangers said he's never seen a helicopter that low before. It kind of reminded me of the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Lights coming everywhere through the smoky trees.
But this late-night show of Air Force does nothing to dislodge the bear. To root out his hideaway, the cops need to have a close encounter of their own kind.
And that's when the police came in, went up the on-ramp, and they had their guns with flashlights on it. And you can see they're a little afraid. They don't know where that bear is. It might be here, it might be there. They're going through it, and they're just trying to find it.
Armed with pellet rifles and a tranquilizer gun, Don leads the officers as they comb the brush.
Some of our guys had shotguns. Myself, I had a rifle, dart rifle, just in case I was able to get a shot of a dart on him. But at that time, we had no idea he was even in there.
At any moment, an angry, cornered bear could emerge. This is a heart-pounding moment. The police wait and wait. But the bear doesn't show. After hours of heated pursuit, is this bear hunt really a bust? For Glenn, the gathering daybreak means he has to call it a night.
I'm looking at my watch going, I've got deadline. I've got to get this footage up for the morning news shows. And so at that point I had to cut out and had to just provide what I had for the morning reporters.
Police are about to call off the search when Don decides to make one final sweep.
We got almost nearing the end of the fence line and we heard a bear in the bushes. Basically, we heard him grunting and just making noise and movement, so we knew he was still in there.
Don tranquilizes the bear and takes him back to the hills. With the furry felon hooked and booked, Don can finally declare this case closed. This mammoth bear needed to be light on its feet in order to run police ragged. But in a quiet Canadian community, one marauder is still running rampant. It's a quiet Sunday morning in the suburban Canadian town of Moncton, New Brunswick. People are at home with the morning paper. The streets are quiet. All seems normal. Neighbor Nick Kerwin is startled by his mother's screams.
So I ran downstairs. I expected somebody was like mugging her or something like that.
But when Nick gets downstairs and looks out the window, he can't believe his eyes.
I was just so shocked because I was in my kitchen and it's just like this, it's just like a black monster. I had no idea what it was at all until I came to this door here and I knew right away that's a friggin' moose. It is Canada, but I mean, we don't see a moose in the neighborhood like every week, right?
Wanted, Eastern Canadian moose. The moose is the tallest land mammal in North America. Males, known as bulls, can weigh over 500 kilos and stand over 2 meters tall. And standing just a meter away, Nick has a front row seat.
Definitely some curse words coming out of my mouth because I was pretty shocked to see a moose. It was a big boy. I don't really know much about moose, but it seemed big enough for me.
This bull has blundered into town, but now can't find its way back to the forest. A neighbor calls 911 and police are quickly on the way. But they're not alone. Videographer Ray Richard hears about the moose while driving nearby. When he gets the call, he knows he has a hot lead.
I was sitting on the front steps of one of these houses shooting the moose from across the street, and the moose came from this direction, heading down here.
Up close, Ray realizes that he is outmatched by the massive moose. He's 1.7 meters tall, and the moose is topping out at over 2. While Ray is awestruck by the size of this antlered antagonist, the moose turns its attention to Ray's car, with his wife inside, and makes his move.
The moose was running towards my car. I figured my wife was in danger, and I was sure he was gonna run right over top of the car. It happened so fast, I couldn't believe it. My car was in the way. Once he got past the car, I was kind of relieved. I was glad he didn't hit my car or hurt my wife.
I'm sorry, what was that, Ray?
Luckily, the moose ran by the car, and she wasn't injured or my car. That better.
But this footloose moose isn't done yet. And after narrowly missing Ray's wife, it decides to play a game of chicken with an SUV. The driver has to put the pedal to the metal to avoid a head-on collision. But as the SUV gets out of harm's way, it reveals a small child standing directly in the path of the spooked moose.
And then that's where you see the little kid down here at the corner.
The situation could turn deadly. But just as quick as the child appears, the moose does something unexpected.
As soon as the moose spotted the little kid, it's like he did a U-turn and didn't harm the kid and ran back up the street.
The child is whisked to safety and crisis is averted. But residents and neighbors are no closer to corralling this half-ton trespasser. With the 2-meter-tall moose unwilling to leave, the police have no choice but to call in an expert. Enter zoo manager Bruce Dugan.
They were wondering if I could go with my tranquilizer gun and tranquilize the animal to remove it from that area. I was the only option they had left, and they needed my assistance immediately.
When Bruce arrives, he readies his tranquilizer rifle and confronts the fugitive face-to-face. Spotting an opportunity to end the chase, Bruce takes a shot. But the tranquilizer dart fails to discharge. And the angry moose charges.
Oh my God, he's going for
Just the scenario Bruce feared.
You never want to try to tranquilize an animal when it's on the run because it's just too hard to hit a moving target. There were many people in the area, and we had to try at that point to get people to get back into their houses so that if I did get an opportunity to fire the tranquilizer dart, that there would be no chance of an accident happening.
As a bad situation again escalates into danger, Ray and the rest of the neighbors watch in disbelief.
He was trying to get a shot at the moose, but there was just so many people out in their yards, backyards, front yards, and they started yelling at people to get in, but nobody was listening to them. And the more yelling and screaming and sirens that were going on, more and more people were coming out.
Get out of the way, guys! We can't fire with people! Get in your house!
Meanwhile, Bruce methodically stalks the miffed moose.
I had come out of the backyard where I initially took the first shot and came into this area behind the shed here.
All eyes are on this man versus moose standoff. Can Bruce finally bring this clash to a close?
The moose was standing in the parking lot here. Obviously had not shown any signs of sedation from the first shot.
Bruce is the first to draw.
I gave him a second dart. I knew that it was a successful shot.
Finally, after a 3-hour chase, the situation seems to be under control.
He started to show some dizziness and headed into the woods.
He's getting a little woozy, isn't he?
Didn't go very far into the woods when he lay down and just stayed there until he became sedated.
I was relieved that it was all over for the moose.
It was time for this fugitive to scram.
We took the animal up to an area outside of town and unloaded him from the tow truck at that point and waited for him to get up and go.
With the moose gone, Ray could reflect on an experience that will last a lifetime.
It was the most awesome video I've ever shot.
But Ray believes this is just the beginning. He expects this to happen more frequently.
The more they're building suburbs and in the areas where these animals live, these animals aren't going anywhere. They continue to come back into where they're used to living.
While the mammoth Canadian moose sleeps it off, one roadworthy escapee in California is still high and dry. August 14, 2010. California commuters have to deal with their fair share of traffic. After an afternoon on the river, Carmichael resident Andrew Corey has joined the throng slogging it out through the rush hour jams.
I was out on the river all day. It was probably around 5 p.m. and so we're just kind of out there just getting demolished by the sun, and I was just tired.
But when Andrew gets further up the road, he can't believe what's been holding up traffic.
When I first saw it, I thought maybe I was a little bit delusional. Just from being in the sun all day, not having enough to eat, I thought maybe, I was seeing things.
But when he pulls his car up closer, it's clear that this trotting traffic stopper is no illusion.
Holy zebra on the road.
Wanted, Plains Zebra. Also known as the common zebra, this guy is on the run after bolting from a nearby farm. They can run at speeds of over 60 kilometers per hour, but this black and white striped suspect seems to have taken some lessons, as he's cruising at 40, which happens to be the legal limit in Carmichael.
And the funny thing is actually staying in one lane for the most part. I didn't think it would know how to signal if it wanted to go to my lane or anything like that.
But in this instance, the law is as simple as black and white. Speed limits cover drivers like Andrew, not galloping wild game. Blown away by his encounter with this four-legged fugitive, Andrew calls his sister Stephanie to tell her the news.
I'm driving back home from school, and I get a phone call from my brother, who just explained to me that he saw a zebra running down the street. My brother's a kidder, and so I really didn't think that he was serious.
With her car pulled to the side of the road, Stephanie braces herself as the zebra races by.
As it was getting closer, I just held my breath, and I was so scared that it was just gonna come at my car, and as soon as it passed me, I just let out this really annoying laugh. Oh my God! That apparently was really funny to a lot of people.
The startled fugitive is attempting to lay low in the residential neighborhood. But apparently, zebra print isn't the local fashion, so its black and white camouflage isn't working. Within minutes, police cars and media vans are on the scene. Right in the middle of the action is news cameraman Josh Barr.
It's very, very quiet residential area, kind of narrow, windy streets. When it happened, there were people on the lawns and people on the sidewalks just gaping and trying to figure out what it was that had just galloped past their house.
But right away, Josh and all the nosy neighbors see firsthand what the buzz is about.
The zebra comes running down, surrounded by squad cars, and like they were herding it almost.
The cops herd the animal straight into a residential driveway. And for the moment, it seems like they may earn their stripes. With the zebra cornered, it looks like this renegade equine's time is up.
They had a squad car right in the center of the driveway, kind of to keep it in the back there, and they were trying to corral it back there, get a rope on it and that kind of thing. It seemed like this was where it was going to end.
Smelling an exclusive angle on the big capture, Josh gets himself and his camera in place.
I was trying to move him back and forth, trying to get the best angle I could, trying to get a glimpse of this thing.
However, catching a 300-kilogram animal is no easy task. And spotting a gap between the cop car and the hedge, the zebra charges. Josh thinks he's a safe distance behind a cop car. But suddenly, he finds himself directly in the path of the galloping brute.
It breaks free, and I realize it's coming my way, and I don't want to get run over, and I don't want to lose the shot.
Close call. It's a lucky escape for Josh and for the zebra, who's now back on the run.
Took off right down this row of bushes and trees, headed right down this residential area, and the race was back on.
The gathering crowd is loving the drama.
People wanted to see the zebra. I mean, that's why they came out of their houses. And so when the zebra got free, I think they were rooting for it.
Oh my God! That poor zebra! I feel so bad for it!
We're not the zoo or the Serengeti, and to see a zebra just clippy-clopping through here is just absolutely ridiculous.
But the suburban circus isn't over yet. With the fuzz hot on its heels, the striped fugitive turns into an apartment complex.
It was a perfect apartment complex to go to because it has one driveway that they could block with their squad cars.
And for the first time, the zebra is truly trapped.
I walked right between the squad cars, trying to get the best shot.
He's able to get centimeters from the zebra.
I zoomed in on it and got a good look at its face and its little mane. It was beautiful. And my adrenaline was pumping. I was so excited. I knew that I got the shot that nobody else had gotten. Maybe it was drawn to me. I don't know. I did have a black and white striped shirt on. That's not a joke. I actually did.
But while the fugitive zebra might be trapped, it's still not caught. Luckily, a police officer has come up with an ingenious plan.
Off of the parking lot, there's a fenced-in area where the pool is.
The idea is to coax the animal in.
And that way, the only way out was through that one gate. They could butt the trailer up to it and hopefully capture it.
Within moments, the zebra is enclosed in the gated pool area. Its capture seems imminent. But what police don't realize is that after all that running, this zebra needs to cool off.
So I decided to use the pool option. And it went for a swim. And there's no lifeguard. I don't know if there's a no zebra sign, but there probably will be soon.
The impromptu pool party gives officers a chance to end this debacle.
I think once it had gotten in the pool, that seemed to have eased its temper a little bit, and that made it easier for them, I think, to get ropes on it and to get it out of the pool and into their trailer.
After being spooked from her pen, the fugitive is packed up and sent home. For Josh, it's a day to remember.
A lot of the stories that I cover, I forget them the next day. This one will stick in my mind for the rest of my life. It was one of the greatest moments of my career, which sounds absolutely strange, but it was a strange story, I guess.
The zebra definitely gate-crashed the pool party. A sports-loving critter in Wisconsin is in danger of missing the big game. The streets of Menominee, Wisconsin are deserted. sports fans across town are glued to the TV. Local basketball favorites, the Milwaukee Bucks, are duking it out with the Atlanta Hawks. Jay Willett manages the local sports bar that's showing the game.
The Stout Ale House is an entertainment center. On any given day, there's always issues that occur, whether it's someone that's had too much to drink or unruly patrons or whatnot. There's always issues every day.
The bar is packed, and the beer is flowing. All the crowd needs now is for their beloved team to start scoring. But it seems like one fan is late for the game, and he's going to get to the bar, whatever the cost. Wanted, northern white-tailed deer.
Next thing we know, right through the door.
That's gotta hurt.
It doesn't look like the doors had half a chance.
But this sports fan has an accomplice. Another deer. 2 deer run into a bar.
It does sound like the beginning of a joke, that's for sure. It felt like someone was pranking me that day.
Clearly, these young bucks aren't carrying ID. One man has seen enough. He's off to watch the game at home.
Say they got to about here, and this is where they split up. One went this way and fell on the ground.
The tiled floor of the bar is great for cleaning up spills, but it's not working out so great for a hoofed deer.
I had a couple people sitting at this table right here, and they jumped right on the deer.
With Bambi down, the patrons pounce.
One of them was on top of it, and they were just kind of sliding it right along.
It's not how they do it on the hunting channel, but it seems to be working. The wannabe bouncers escort the deer out of the bar. This is no way to treat a die-hard Bucks fan. Meanwhile, the other fawn has high expectations.
Kind of went up into our skybox area, and this is where we encountered the deer.
The buck has taken over the bar's executive suite. Doesn't he know there's a waiting list for one of these? Jay is joined by employee Dan Canese. They block off the exit.
I started with the chairs kind of over here just to maybe block the door to try and deter it from running out.
Deer are capable of jumping over 3 meters in the air. A slam dunk for Dan's puny barricade. Dan moves in to corner the deer and tries to call a timeout.
I tried reasoning with the deer. You look in the footage, I do a motion kind of like this, and that's me kind of trying to talk to the deer to calm it down. Talk in a calm, sort of sensitive voice. Hey buddy, settle down, you're all right. And the closer I got, the more excited the deer got. I mean, it started jumping a lot. I'm trying to calm it down, the deer turns around, and then it makes a run for the door.
The playoffs come once a year, and this fawn clearly doesn't want to miss the 4th quarter.
You can see in the footage when it starts to run for the door, I jump on top of it and I pin it against the wall.
Manager Jay rushes to get help, leaving a tussle between man and beast.
You can see that it starts to jump and get all excited. I figure I was on the ground for at least 5 or 10 minutes. It felt like an eternity. I didn't know if I was going to be able to hold on to this deer the whole time while I'm on the floor.
Finally, the cavalry arrives.
I wrapped my arm around its body, and other 2 patrons grabbed the legs, and I picked it up, and I said, once we're going, we're not stopping. So I've just started running right out the door, and as far as I could make it, and right on out through the restaurant.
They release the deer in the parking lot.
As far as I know from customers who live over there, they said it ran away under its own power. As far as I know, the deer lived and it was successful, happy ending.
Final score, bar 2, deer 0. And amidst the chaos, it's easy to forget the actual game. The Bucks lost that one too. Amazing escapes, supercharged chases, and unexpected standoffs. This is what happens when wild creatures escape and become animal fugitives.